The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
For the second straight year, St. Petersburg hosts the second round of the American LeMans Series. But for the first time, this greatest of high-tech manufacturer battles is here on ESPN on ABC.
The American LeMans Series, world-class drivers, premier road courses, and cutting-edge technology. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the American LeMans Series is the glory and the grueling reality of world-class sports car racing. This is the American LeMans Series.
St. Petersburg, Florida. Lying on a peninsula between the sparkling turquoise waters of the Gulf of Mexico and the glistening blue of Tampa Bay, it is truly a jewel of Florida's magnificent west coast. And today, as the cars rip along Bayshore Drive past mega yachts and under swaying palms, it is home to the second round of the 2008 American Le Mans Championship Chase, the Acura Sports Car Challenge, presented by XM. And with Long Beach being the next stop as well, it is also the first of the two most glamorous street courses in America, where the four classes of the American Le Mans Series will contest their individual races in the midst of an intense battle for overall honors, both on ESPN on ABC. Now, in any race, the competition begins in qualifying, and yesterday, Marco Werner put in one of the greatest laps in American Le Mans history to put the Audi on the overall pole, but was then perhaps a tick too spectacular, trying to go yet quicker. At the end, new 2008 teammate Lucas Luhr was as impressed as everyone else. Behind Werner, the grid is very close, and that leads us to our progressive direct storylines. In the two prototype divisions, P1 and P2, there was a wide-open battle for the overall win, and Jan Bikus is with the man who fired that first shot.
And Greg, so many times pole positions are won by technology, and certainly there was some Audi technology at play, but you'd have to say it was down to the superhuman efforts of this man right here, Marco Werner. You've got to be so excited about that, what looked like a perfect qualifying lap.
Yeah, of course, it was really, really nice. I enjoyed it a lot. I like this circuit, but also yesterday I liked my car very well, so the Audi was pretty good on the Michelin tires, and that's very important to have a quick lap here on this circuit.
Concerns for the race?
I hope for everybody that is a dry race, so we heard something about rain, but I hope that's dry, and then I'm looking forward for a good victory.
Bright sunny skies now. Have a great run.
Thank you very much.
Our progressive direct storylines in GT1 are Corvette Racing making their debut with the new E85 methanol fuel blend, but also the ongoing intense intra-rival squad rivalry between those teams, and of course a full season effort by a new privateer Aston Martin team, Bell Motorsports. In GT2, the story is simply the grand continuation of the most legendary of all sports car manufacturer battles, the thoroughbreds from Porsche versus the prancing horses of Ferrari. And earlier, Kelly Stavis talked to the driver who was first out of the gate.
Well, not only did Wolf Hensler get Porsche its first GT2 pole since 2006, it's also the first for the Flying Lizards Motorsports team since 2004. Wolf, what does it mean to you to get the pole for your team?
I mean, it means a lot to me. It's a long time ago that Flying Lizard had a car on pole, and also for Porsche 2 years ago. And I think it's the first pole for the new 997, so this makes me really proud. And I must say the team gave me a good car yesterday, and I just had to put it on pole.
When we look at the starting grid, we see Porsche, then Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari. After the dominance of Ferrari have passed, what does it say about the rivalry now?
Yeah, I mean, that says everything. It's very competitive this year between the Porsche and the Ferrari, not like last year. So I think we will have a very tough race today.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by sports car standout Bill Adam. And Bill, this race at 1 hour and 55 minutes, a full 50 minutes less than the average American Le Mans Series race distance, and that's enough to truly affect the strategy. And folks, that tops off our Kumo Keys to Winning.
Well, that is a huge question, Mark. Now, take the two types of cars. We have the Audis that are running diesel engines. The organizers give them slightly smaller fuel tanks because they're diesels and get better fuel efficiency than the Acuras or the Porsches. Everybody wants to try and do this race on only one pit stop, and that's a bit of a problem. The Audi cannot afford to stop too early because it can't go as far as either of those other cars. The other two cars can both stop early and still make the race with that single stop. But where the Audi has a decided advantage, going through traffic. When they start lapping the field and coming up to clumps of cars, a diesel with all that torque, you back off the gas, you get back on it, you've still got the available power. You back off a turbo engine gasoline motor, you've got an engine lag. The Audi has a strength right there.
And of course, that all depends on whether or not we stay dry, and that is by no means a guarantee. Now, last year here at St. Petersburg, Audi legend Alan McNish put in a storming drive to the overall win. So there's really nobody better to give us a look at this very good 1.8-mile, 14-turn street course for our Audi track description.
As we come along the very wide start-finish straight in St. Petersburg, down to turn one, hard on the brakes. Now here you've got a very difficult turning because you've got to get the front of the car in or it washes out on you. And then there's immediately a switch back left and right. The road cambers through this next flat-out right-hander and you've got to be extremely careful. New tyres there, easy to hit the wall. Then you come along the back straight, brake hard down into second gear. There's a false curb on the right-hand side and then immediately into a left. Now this corner is like driving on ice. You just have got to be so careful on the throttle. And then into the double right. Here the cambers are so tricky. It's very difficult to actually get the car into them. But when you do get in, you can't be too aggressive on the throttle or it can snap out. Then you come through the flat-out left-hand king. This is one for the brave. And then down into a very, very deep braking left-hander. Here's a place to make up time because you can brake a little bit too late and then the tyres are there to catch you. Then through the right-left. Now here I just try to be as clean and tidy as possible. There's grass on the right if you make a mistake. That's not very grippy. Into the last corner. As you can see, lots of lock, lots of understeer and fighting to get all the power down before you cross the line for another lap.
He is amazing. The cars are out on the pace and parade lap, so let's get you to our Acura starting grid. We're going to show you the entire field in a crawl across the top of the screen, but let's meet the drivers of the top qualified cars in each class.
Marco Werner from Ermatingen, Switzerland.
Hi, I'm Lukas Luhr from Koblenz in Germany.
Hi, I'm Timo Bernhard. I was born in Hamburg-Saar, Germany.
Hello, I'm Romain Dumas. I was born in Alès in France.
I'm Olivier Beretta from Monaco, Monte Carlo.
My name is Oliver Gavin. I'm from Yardley Hastings, England.
I'm Jörg Bergmeister from Langenfeld, Germany.
Hi, I'm Wolf Hensler from Nürtingen in Germany.
So there you have it. Bill, I wanted to ask you very quickly. Obviously, Werner's lap was a great statement, but with those strategy concerns, a problem here. The 007, this is the GT2 Aston Martin, and that is a bioethanol fuel car that is also making a great green statement here, but they have had a problem here clearly on this pace and parade lap. Paul Drayson behind the wheel.
And that's going to delay the start for sure because they will have to make at least another couple of laps while they pull this car out of the way.
Now, we do get a report that when the leader, the field, crosses the start-finish line, the race time will start. And the problem reported from a radio transmission, a gearbox issue with that Aston Martin. And that is where they've made a change in that car from the way it has run in GT3 spec in Europe. They do have another car coming that will be a true GT2 Aston Martin. And from all reports, will be spectacular. They're just waiting for it. We hope it'll be ready for Long Beach.
One of the strange parts of racing, the gearbox they actually put in this car should be virtually unbreakable with the horsepower they've got in it. Right now the car is quite underpowered for what it could be in that class, and this has got to be just crushing for Lord Drayton.
Yeah.
He also needs to keep his foot in the brakes here. He doesn't want to get that tow rope very slack. You get the bungee effect and that could damage the car too. But they'll have at least one more lap here, and keep in mind this is a timed race.
And Bill, you had mentioned in your open about the Audis and the fuel strategy, and they've been saying all weekend that we certainly need a little bit of yellow, we need a little bit of help. You couldn't ask for any earlier help for Audi. These couple laps will be run under caution, gives them just that bit more range to make it to the end on one stop.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Jan. Now, what these cars could do, all of them, not just the Audi, the Porsches, the Acuras, they all have dials on the dashboard there, in that myriad of dials up there. It looks so bizarre that they can change the engine programming and run a much leaner mix, so that their mileage will go up from X miles per gallon to like 3X while they're under these pace laps. That is a big help for Audi.
And the other side of a yellow coming this early is that the last thing Audi wanted was a yellow right when the window opened for the P2 Porsches and Acuras. Yes. They wanted it before that to help them with the mileage. So this is really playing beautifully into their hands, isn't it?
That has been the big worry all the way along, because let's assume that a yellow comes out 35 or 40 minutes into the race. The Porsches, the Acuras will make this mad dive to the pits to refuel, because then they can make the rest of the race with no worries of a second pit stop, whereas at that point the Audi still would have to stop.
Now kudos to the track marshal crew here at St. Pete for getting the Aston Martin off the track in very, very good form. So we're watching here. That is Marco Werner as he's bringing the field out of that last turn, this beautiful track out of turn 14 and onto the front straight. Pace car stays out, so this is going to be one more lap of caution, and the Audi camp grinning.
Oh, that is really good for them. Something just for our new viewers that may not have seen one of these races before. The field is full of a diverse number of cars. The Audi right there in the lead. He's got a V12 twin-turbo diesel. The cars behind are 8s, 6s. There's all kinds of all variations of gasoline engines. It just is wonderful. This is not a single race format. And something to watch when they come around and do the start. Keep your eye on that Audi. It, like all diesels, has massive torque. Just, you could pull one of the ships in the harbor with this V12 engine. It is a real strong car. And off the start, it's going to look like a drag racer.
All right, as we hop on board, that is the Patron Acura. Let's take a look at our Michelin field summary. Gives you an idea of how many cars in the field are running on which type of tire. Michelin leads the way with 20. Dunlop has 4. Kumho has 2. And Yokohama has 2. And tell you what, Michelin has set an incredible record here in the American Le Mans Series. And these other manufacturers, that's why they're here. You want to go up against the best. That's why you run the American Le Mans Series. Whatever your manufacturing deal is, chassis, yes, engines, tires.
Well, and I think the other manufacturers appreciate the dominance that Michelin has had, because that really elevates your own engineering up to a much higher plane. You have to compete with the very best. Here we're on board one of the Acuras. Now, listen to this sound, much higher RPM.
The Andretti Green Racing entry, Christian Fittipaldi, new driver to this team for the full season. He'll be paired up with Brian Herta, who, of course, ran in their debut season last year. Herta, one of the drivers that won in Acura's debut in the P2 category at Sebring last year, and they are looking for that next win coming up. We get a report. We anticipate green this time out of turn 14 down the long airport runway here at Alfred Woodard Airport.
Now, something for our viewers to watch. Keep your eye on that Audi on the pole. He is definitely going to out-accelerate the yellow DHL Porsche alongside. Green. Okay, we're on green right now. Watch for Bradman back in third in that green car.
Well, you saw Bernard take a look. Oh, a little bump right there. That is the 6th Porsche that got just a little bit of a bump, but otherwise everybody looks to have made it through that first turn, but now it gets busy.
Big problems right now. They're on relatively cold tires. They tried to work the tires on the pace lap. Everything. John Field right down the inside of one of the Porsches. A very aggressive opening move.
John Field doing what John Field does best. He drives opening laps like nobody I have ever seen. And he has now got in front of the number 6 DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche. This always gets interesting.
John Field might be the American version of J.J. Leto, because he loves the start of races. He is fearless, and this privately funded Intersport Racing Lola really does a great job. He's in it with his son Clint, too.
And right behind those two is the other Audi in the hands of Frank Biela. He and Emanuele Pirro coming back and going to run the rest of the season for Audi. And this is going to be interesting onto the front straight. Now we're getting a warning. A warning will be given to the 6 car for our sports marksmanship, so that maybe have something to do with that little bump that they had. And right there, you saw a number 6 car. That was a defensive move, wasn't it?
That was definitely defensive. Sasha Maassen in the number 6 car. One of the better drivers in this series. Just a delightful young man. He did not want the Audi to get by, because then the Porsche is quicker in this section of the track. The Porsche weighing almost 250 pounds less than the Audi. So on quick left-right corners, it's a much more nimble car.
We're on board with Biela right now. That is Maassen in the Penske Porsche right in front. In front of them, John Field. And you can see in front of Field, the rest of the car is starting to draw away just a little bit. That car overlapped, not as quick as some of the other cars, but it's got that P1 power, and that can really frustrate a driver like Maassen. Oh, Fittipaldi, an issue, the XM Satellite Andretti Green car, off.
He has gone in deep. He was asking the marshal there to push him back. Can he move? I can't tell if he's stalled. Oh, he's still running. Good. He should be able to rejoin here. Maybe he was unable to find reverse gear.
Yeah.
One of the difficulties in these cars, they become so complex. It's not just a simple case of grabbing a lever and moving it into a spot. No, and he needs another pushback. He blew it.
He just stalled it appears.
I don't think...
Oh, he can't make the turning radius won't work.
That's exactly right, Greg. He needed to try and get those wheels spinning and almost get the car into a little bit of a power slide to get it set up. There's the leader going by, Marco Werner, still leading. Timo Bernhard in the Porsche.
Put the car in reverse.
No reverse, he is saying.
Shift down to neutral. Hit the reverse.
So he is one lap down already. This is a huge loss for this team.
Over in turn 8, we're going to go on board and see what happened, Bill.
Okay, now he's following the DHL Porsche right up ahead. Let's just listen. Oh! Okay, now he's going to try and spin it. You know, that's exactly where Marco Werner spun in that qualifying lap. He's back underway now, and the car is undamaged. He only hit the barrier very, very lightly, so that car is fine to go with. But the time lost effectively takes him out of any win position.
Looked like he did it all on his own as well. Maybe just too aggressive on cold tires, just that little bit of damage to the right rear corner.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem, Greg.
All right, so Marco Werner continues to lead P1 and overall. Timo Bernhard in the number 7 DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche Spiders, second overall, leading in the P2 category with Scott Sharp and Marino Franchitti in the number 20 Dyson entry, fourth overall, third in class with Chris Dyson in the number 16 Dyson Porsche, sitting fifth overall, fourth in class. Here's a look at the class leaders in each of the 4 classes here in the American Le Mans Series. It's the Acura Sports Car Challenge presented by XM Radio here at St. Petersburg.
The Acura Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by XM Radio. Brought to you by Acura, Acura Advance, Michelin, a better way forward, and Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today.
Welcome back to St. Petersburg, Florida, everybody, where we have a very interesting second round of the American Le Mans Series Championship unfolding, the Acura Sports Car Challenge, presented by XM. There is your overall and P1 race leader, Marco Werner, running the number 2 Audi. While we were in break, though, we had a great little move as the number 6 car of Sasha Maassen got into a great scrap with a similar car of Chris Dyson. Watch this move, Bill.
And you can see they're both in Porsches right here, coming down the front straight. Now, Sasha in the yellow car way inside. Look at Dyson, suddenly in danger getting hit by that Corvette. And the good thing, the Acura following was able to sneak through as well. This is on board the number 6 car, Sasha Maassen, longtime Porsche driver. He is very smart in a car, very quick, and he is chasing the Audi directly in front of him that's driven by Frank Wieland.
And this is the battle that he is chasing is for second in the P1 class. John Field in that independent Intersport Lola team doing an exceptional job. A very talented driver in terms of speed, and is frustrating Bila, there's no question. But as you can see, when they are on clear track, they're drawing away even from Maassen, and now traffic.
Well,
and this is the magic of multi-class sports car racing, a high-speed game of chess.
Yeah, this is the beauty, and that's what we talked about. The Audi is really good going through traffic. Look at him right on Field's tail. I don't think he's close enough to challenge. Field may be blocked. Okay, now we're on board the Audi. Now let's see if he tries around the outside. Field has got to stay aware of exactly where Bila is.
Now laid back a little bit to get around, but that Ferrari got out of that turn very quickly. Was that a nice plan by Field to try and get the Porsche before he could let the Audi get underneath the Porsche too?
Yeah, it could very well be. Sometimes it's like an NFL game. You run pick plays. You can see where you want to try and take advantage. And the car caught in the middle right there, that red and silver Porsche, he is your GT2 leader right now. That is Wolf Hensler. The red Ferrari in the background, that's the big challenger. That's Mika Salo in that Ferrari. So they too are very close.
Yeah, as Maassen gets by, that puts these two GT2 class leaders in position once again. Problem is, right behind Mika Salo right there in that red Risi Ferrari comes Dyson in that Tetford Norcold Dyson Racing Porsche. And he gets in between, and this is what makes this so fascinating, is you've got to drive so many corners, so many laps, so many classes ahead sometimes.
It's a huge challenge for these fellas. The Porsche driver, the Ferrari driver, they've had a long-standing feud. I won't even say a battle. It's a feud that's been gone on now for over a year. And as intent as they are on having their own fight, they constantly have to watch the mirror, which I wish more drivers in the state of Florida would learn to do that. But look at this. They're nose to tail right here, and other cars, the prototypes, are darting through the middle.
That was Diaz in the Lowe's Acura that made the move. Held up just a little bit, the number 45, and that's allowed Salo now to get right back on the back end. And frankly, Bill, one thing we should maybe explain, the prototype cars are so dependent on aero, moving over the wings of the tunnels of the car, that in the slow corners, sometimes they are no quicker than a GT2 car. We have great stick.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, this, relatively speaking, is one of the slower tracks the American Le Mans Series runs. Even though for a street circuit, it is superb. It's very smooth. You see the cars, sometimes they'll go through small bumps and undulations, but compared to other places they run, this is a very, very nicely done circuit.
Now that Ferrari is the car that had an incredible year last year, winning 8 GT2 races and actually helped propel Mika Salo to a GT2 record, looking at 2 finishes at the end of last year, the previous season and the first few of last year, 5 straight GT2 wins, won the championship for the manufacturer as well. But they have done some work to these Porsches. This is a reworked 997 with a little bit better aero and some engine work as well. And obviously, this is awfully good racing.
Boy, and you know, for the viewers at home that are wondering what this is like, try and think about doing something and you turn to that person and say, will you quit watching me? Well, right now, Wolf Hensler in that Porsche, every time he looks in the mirror, it is full of red Ferrari. He has to keep his concentration at such a high level. This is where you get a better caliber driver that can handle this pressure.
And Bill, I believe that what the Ferrari is trying to do to the Porsche is the Porsche traditionally is a little harder on rear tires. So the Ferrari team knows that if they can push really hard the Flying Lizard Porsche, they're hoping that maybe they can start to burn down those tires somewhat and then go in for the kill.
Well, I think the only way they could push any harder right now is to wear some paint off that front bumper, because they are nose to tail. Great battle by both drivers.
Well, there's precedent for that, too.
Missed that radio transmission.
Now that prototype coming up behind is the P2 Mazda prototype, the Castrol BP Petroleum Mazda in the hands of Ben Devlin. Had a huge shunt in qualifying at Sebring, and a great job by the team to get that car put back.
And he's in between them.
Split them.
Wow, that was a huge move. Now that may give Hensler a little bit of a break.
And actually, Hensler now coming up on the back of some of the cars in his class as well.
Yes.
And that's just going to complicate things even more so. And Devlin thought about it. But I think he realizes the battle that these guys are in. And look at Hensler. He did not want that Mazda to go by.
No, exactly.
Slow him up, did he?
And he's alongside this Ford GT racing program right now. Devlin got by them both cleanly in there. That was a very nice move. Now
and here comes Salo. Oh, what a move. He's got the outside of the Ford.
Watch Hensler back up the inside.
Oh, and the Ford got crossed up. Moves over. A bump. Oh, look at Salo driving Hensler to the wall. And now, finally, Hensler tucks in behind.
Clear on the outside.
Now, I wonder if that may be a penalty. That is, without question, deliberate blocking. A few minutes ago, again, for new viewers that did not see a Sebring 12-hour race last year, these fellas, these two cars, after 12 hours of racing, came a last lap win by the Ferrari, but only after 3, 4, 5 bumps, as you and I have spoken, with that Porsche. And there's a lot of bad blood existing.
Well, the interesting thing is, one we've already seen is we had that warning to the P2 Porsche for unsportsmanlike driving. Now, the question is here, you're allowed one move to defend your position. Was that one move and a long one, or was it 1-1-1-1-1? Well, that's up for the stewards to decide.
Well, guys, I talked to Mikko Salo earlier today about that bad blood. He says he thinks it's mostly over, especially after Sebring just a couple of weeks ago when his teammate Jamie Mello took himself out of the race along with the number 2 GT car. So he says, I think it's over, but perhaps maybe it's been resparked.
I was going to say he may have stirred that pot just a little bit here with that move, and you know that's not going to sit well with Wolf or certainly his teammate, Jörg Bergmeister. And watching the action here as they come down the front straight, there is your overall race leader again. I want to make sure we let you know what's happening up on him. So want to remind you to check out AmericanLeMans.com and all of its new homepage video featuring the most comprehensive coverage in series history, both on and off the track. That's AmericanLeMans.com. And we've been following that great GT2 battle. Here are your top 5. ABC, your NBA destination. Sunday, 4 of the most exciting teams in the NBA take the floor for the playoff push. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern with the GMC NBA Countdown. Then at 1 Eastern, MVP candidate Chris Paul and the New Orleans Hornets host Baron Davis and the Golden State Warriors. Then at 3:30 Eastern, Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks face Steve Nash and the Phoenix Suns. The NBA Sunday on ABC. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Welcome back, everybody, and there, that silver and red bullet that we have been watching from high above and now come right down onto the streets of St. Pete to watch is number 2, Marco Werner. And Marco has had an interesting run in the last couple of laps as he has opened it up a little bit, caught traffic, and Timo Bernhard in that little yellow Porsche just behind there has closed it up. Then they get into open track again, or Timo gets held up. The margin stretches right back out.
Yeah, the mark of a champion right there, too. Marco was very patient as he waited for that car at this moment, rather than risking sticking his car in and having contact. Here is second place. This is Timo Bernhard from Germany, driving one of those DHL Penske Porsches. Dramatically different car from the Audi. Again, the Audi, a big 5.5-liter V12 twin-turbo diesel. The Porsche, a much smaller twin-turbo gas-engine car. The Audi weighing in 920 kilos, roughly 1,950 pounds. The Porsche, 200 less.
And our GT2 leader, Mikko Salo, is down in the pits. And they are going for tires and fuel at this point. And looks like, I'm trying to see if they did a driver change. They did, so Salo out and Jamie Mello is in.
Now,
and they're in the window.
Yeah, I wonder if they have just made their one and only stop. Maybe they're feeling that they don't have to stop again. I don't know about that.
An hour and 17 minutes.
Track is clear. Track is clear.
I think that's a big gamble on the Ferrari part, but...
Well, were they thinking that they were coming up on a big chunk of traffic that would slow them down and have Wolf all over them come in, do it, and then hope?
I don't think so. I mean, both the driver who was in the car, Mika Salo, and Wolf Hensler, they were both in such a good pace. Wolf was pushing the Ferrari to keep up that fast pace, and he was able to withstand it. So I really don't quite understand it. If you don't have to come in at that point, stay with your competition, stay ahead of your competition. You're controlling the race.
Yeah, it's got me a little confused too. But he is back out with fresh tires, and maybe they had run the tires off the car.
You know, one interesting thing too that he did say, we got the report from the pits, that the Ferrari thought the Porsche would use up the rear tires. Maybe the Ferrari used up their tires.
Well, nonetheless, they've got their driver change done now. If they can make it to the end, they're golden. If they have to come in for a splash, it's going to be very interesting in the GT2 ranks. Now let's go back up in the overall order just a little bit. We want to check in on what's going on, third, fourth, fifth, and the like in the overall run, because there's some absolutely superb racing unfolding right there. And watching, that's Frankie Biela, I believe, who has finally got around John Field. They have had a great on and off battle. No, excuse me, we are back at the very front. Werner and Field. There is Marino Franchitti sitting in third overall, second in the P2 category. And Bill, many people feel that Marino, you know, a lot of people knew he was talented, but his breakout race came last year when he drove some of the most brilliant opening laps. He eventually tagged the wall, dinged the wing up, but he had a restart in some opening laps that everybody went, wow.
You know, and I with hats off to Marino because he's a good friend, I have to admit that I was part of that crowd. I know Dario much better. Oh, the number 6 has spun. It looks like he is, that's Sasha Maassen. It looks like he has almost gone off the same spot that caught out Christian Fittipaldi. Let's see if that, yes it is. Now he was able to keep going, so he has only lost time on the track. Not a great deal either, and obviously didn't damage the car. Oh, and maybe that's why he spun. There is John Field, who has really tagged something hard with the left front corner. This may bring out a pace car. If that's the case with Ferrari having just made their pit stop, bad timing, and watch for people to start ducking in the pit.
All right, we're in the wall hard. Coming in lap.
That was John. He's telling the team, I was in the wall hard, I'm coming in. Amazing that car is even moving along like that.
Stop it up here. We'll stop at the pit. Hold the car up in the air. We'll assess the damage.
That's John Field now right in front of Sasha, Bill.
And this is why Sasha spun, obviously. Oh, no, it's not. Sasha just flat got in too deep. You hear him lock up a little bit of tire. He wisely didn't even try to make the corner. There's Sasha. Oh, man.
So apparently, what we're getting the report, as he's bringing those banners in with him, we're getting a report that Field had a tire going down, and that's why he couldn't make the turn, but doesn't necessarily explain why Sasha went off as well. You don't normally, at Sasha's ability and level of driving, that doesn't distract you. You drive your corner. So interesting what happened here, but wow, what a hit for Field after a great
Sasha may have been doing something that most drivers don't do, but we all get guilty every once in a while, and that's you do your braking according to what the car ahead of you is doing.
Now the question is, was there a cause here for the 37's cut tire? Watch this. Oh, they touched.
They touched, but I don't think that's any problem because there's no damage to the right rear bodywork, and that would usually
did it get a valve stem? Did it? And there's that is why they had to do the chain. Look at Mika Salo, a veteran of numerous Formula One starts, and Kelly, he looks absolutely whipped.
He came out of that car just absolutely soaked. They said their AC was not working in there. He had no air coming through. And you know, earlier today he had told me he'd worried about the heat anyway because this is such a fast and narrow course. It's a very high concentration course. So he was concerned about the heat to begin with. And then you have problems like this. Of course, they got him out of the car. Now Jamie Mello is behind the wheel.
Well, and I would think, Bill, something to talk about. If you've got AC in your car, then you may not be running a cool suit. So if the AC fails, then you're in an oven.
Well, and it's something, too. I'm wondering, why didn't the crew do something to help Mello? I mean, if he's going back out, hack a hole in the side window. Do something to increase airflow. I don't believe they did anything at all. So he may suffer some sort of a heat frustration as well.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see now what unfolds with that car as we are under a full course caution. There is some debris on the track. Obviously, when Field got into those tires, there's debris, and also there it is. And also the tire barriers were moved. Pits are now open. And Bill, here we go. This should be just an absolute stream, you would think, into the pits.
I expect everybody will come in. This is getting close enough. We're within about 10 minutes of where the Audi wanted to stop anyway. Now at this point, they still have to pray for a second yellow flag, because should they go green from this point on, Audi cannot do the rest of the race. Porsche, I think, can.
And there we go, Werner in. Bernard, now remember, Bernard was complaining of some serious push in that yellow Porsche. So we'll see if they are able to affect any change. It takes a while to change a nose, which would be how you might really affect change, but you could do it with tires. You could do a number of things, can't you?
Yeah, well, and this is something, this may be new for a lot of viewers who have not seen the American Le Mans race before. You watch when the cars come to a stop. The drivers will change, they can work on the tires, but you will see no fueling. Jan Beekes?
And Lucas Luris making the dive for the leader, number 1 Audi. At the same time, we're going to look over the shoulder and watch the number 6 Penske. They're not going to make a driver change. So we will have a driver change for the Audi. We look over the shoulder. It looks like Penske is already going to play some strategy, and it does not look like they're going to go for tires. But as you can see, the Audi, the Porsche's underway. There's a move for the lead down pit road. In the meantime, they're still buckling in Lucas Luhr. So a strategy change down here on pit road. And in fact, here comes the 7 Penske is also going to beat the Audi out. So both the 6 and the 7 Penske Porsches have beat the Audi with some different strategy.
Wow, what a turnabout here. Now we'll have to see with that 6 car, having lost that time in the runoff with the move, that may simply have put them back on a lead lap, if you will, with that Audi. We'll keep an eye on that as we watch Sasha Maassen, who, there's an interesting story, stayed in.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they did that. I don't fully get that at all. They must feel that the mileage that they're currently getting, they can't possibly make it. And Sasha is going pretty well.
And there's Pirot as we take a look at the marshals working on the course, trying to get those tire barriers back in place and the debris cleared off so we can get back to green racing here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Petersburg, brought to you by XM. And as we take a look at the absolutely beautiful bay here in St. Petersburg, we are going to step away for just a moment, and we will be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. The new era of the IndyCar Series hits the streets of St. Pete. Helio Castroneves goes for a sweet repeat, looking for his 3rd win in a row on this picturesque street course. But can road racing specialist Scott Dixon steal the show in his quest to start the season 2 for 2? The IndyCar Series Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ESPN Sunday at 2:30 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Can we call that one Dancing with the Cars?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's fitting. And we've got a big problem for the number 1 Audi. Jan.
They're just putting a second rear section on the back of this Audi. They had a problem with the rear wing, and if you change the rear wing on this car, you have to take the entire rear assembly off, including some of the exhaust system, the top deck. They're going to be here, obviously. They're going to try and beat the pace car, but it's already on the front straightaway. It looks like, unless there's a miracle here, they will lose at least 1 lap.
What a tough break, as they had pitted in that first sequence, and as we went to break, we saw Emanuele leaving the pits and then coming back in. Absolutely the worst possible thing. Now, Pat Long is America's lone Porsche factory driver, and this year he got his big break as he got promoted to a full-time ride with Penske Porsche. And we asked Patrick, what does he do off the track to stay fit and relax a little bit and have a good time?
Hi, I'm Patrick Long, driving the number 6 DHL Penske Spyder. You know, the challenge being on the road as many days as we all are is getting away from it and maintaining your fitness level, but also decompressing. Moving to Florida recently for me was a good way to get away from the rush and the intensity of LA, which is where I was born and raised. I find water is very therapeutic, and it's also a great avenue to get training done. I'd say that the intensity in LMP2 has definitely forced me to step up my game from a fitness standpoint. It's been a goal of mine, and that's why even a year ago I decided to come out here to Florida. Living with Jan, he's probably the fittest guy in motorsport, so it's easy to be pulled out of bed and on the bike early in the morning.
We go back a long way. We've known each other now for about 10 years. I convinced him to come here to Florida, and I think so far so good. He really likes it. And it's just good. It's just good to have somebody here to train with me, and I try and push him as hard as I can. You know, training out in the sun, the water, it's great.
Getting on the kayak, you're really dealing with upper body strength, core stamina, and the cardiovascular endurance. Bicycles have been a new sport for me. It's something that Jan's introduced me to, and it's intense. The group rides that we do around here are really, really tough. I'm at the back of the line, just trying to stay in the slipstream and hold my own. But you know, if I can hang on to those guys' coattails, I know that's pulling my racing in the right direction.
Well, he is in the very top level of motorsports at this, and when you drive for Roger Penske, you better be sharp, and Patrick is ready to get behind the wheel and replace this guy.
He is a really impressive young man.
Very interesting that he's standing on the wall ready to go in any event, because we saw the Penske strategy where they did not change drivers, they just fueled and didn't do tires. That obviously is a strategic move to pick up track position. Now, under the caution, certainly looking at the team and looking at Patrick Long, looks like they will bring that car back onto pit road and make a driver's change after all. Very strange change of strategy.
Well, I can only think that because of the off that Maassen had and they lost a lap, if that was the call to try and get them on the back end of that lead lap, make up a lap at any rate, then do the driver change and do it, and at least you're on the back end of the lead lap instead of dropping down another lap.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Greg, is that we are down to just over an hour left in the race. If they refuel the car, they can do it complete.
Well, here's the current order in the P2 category. Of course, we're still under caution. Things may change up just a little bit. But right now, Dumas in the lead for Penske Porsche. Can they make it 2 in a row?
The Acura Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by XM Radio. Brought to you by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. And Kumho Tires.
Welcome back, everybody, and what timing. We are green on the streets of St. Petersburg. Number 7, Romain Dumas leads away, but it is Lucas Luhr in the Audi. Great move right there by Guy Smith in that white and blue Dyson Porsche to get around that green right there, the green Petron Acura. What a great restart by him, and here we go.
Boy, look at that traffic jam down. He is just incredible in that Dyson car. Guy Smith really has the bit between his teeth. Look at this battling back and forth. The tightest section benefits these cars right here. Remember, the Audi is at a disadvantage in the tight stuff. It weighs 120 kilos more than all the other cars.
And keep in mind that black and blue XM car is down a lap. Remember, that was the car that had the problem with Christian Fittipaldi. So right now, everybody's sort of picking off him. Here comes Emanuele Pirro, who had that second stop. He's back out. He's just trying to work his way back up through the field and see where he can sort things out. But what a great restart by Dumas, and Lucas Luhr with all of that torque was not able to get him, and that was huge.
And I think what Lucas Luhr has to do right now, this really is his first lap of racing right now that he's just finishing. He got in the car after Werner made his pit stop, so he has to get up to speed. He has to get that rhythm. See, the car is snaking there into braking. There's Pirro back down the inside. Oh, and he avoids a contact.
Did they? Boy, that was awfully close. He's doing everything he can to get a lap back, and of course, David Brabham is doing everything he can to keep everybody behind him so he can join this battle in front of him, because Brab's the guy he's looking at. The back end of is Guy Smith in that Tedford Norcold Dyson Porsche, the white Porsche Spider just in front. There is Brabham. There goes Smith in front of him, and there's Pirro down a lap behind him. So Brabs is right now, I think, between the proverbial rock and the hard spot.
He is. And Emanuele Pirro, one of the best drivers in the world. He's just a tremendously gifted driver, particularly good on street circuits. Some people tend to be intimidated by walls. I don't particularly like them, but Pirro, for them, they disappear. He doesn't mind going really, really fast and getting that car right up to within inches of the concrete wall. He will be excited over these next few laps.
Now, one of the things we haven't talked about, and we should maybe just talk about a little bit, obviously the Porsche Spyder, of course, that is a great car. They've continued to develop it, and it is very effective. But the Acura chassis is basically almost brand new, and it is one that they say makes a lot more downforce. And on a track like this, that's huge. So bringing it up just a little bit closer makes the battling better overall and in the categories.
The series does continue to get better and better all the time for all of the three makes. And the organizers have done a wonderful job in trying to equalize them all by taking some of the fuel away from the Audi, by giving them a little more weight. There are certain tracks the Porsche or the Acura will excel at, like this, the street circuit. There's certain tracks the Audi is better at where the long straights are, and it balances out really well. Here's Patrick Long.
They did their change, and it was a strategy move, was it not, Jan?
It was a strategy move. Now we understand how it worked. Of course, it was Sasha Maassen who got into trouble and lost some time, in fact, lost a lap. Then Roger Penske used some strategy to get you back on the lead lap. First of all, what happened to you that got you in trouble?
I got hit in the start. I had a good start, but then I got hit, and so I lost some positions. And then I was stuck behind the 37, the field car. It's an LMP1 car, so on the straight he was very quick. And in the corners he blocked me very good, so it was a matter of time, like always with John, until he crashes. But unfortunately it was this time very long until he made a mistake, and so I lost a lot of time.
So your first pit stop, you were being told on the radio you had to leave before the Audi to get your lap back. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a great call from Roger. He brought us back into the lead lap, and we are back in the race. So I'm happy that Patrick is now in the lead lap, and maybe we can do something.
You don't often see two pit stops under yellow. They worked perfectly.
It was superb, and the interesting thing is they are 6th in class, 7th overall, was how effective that strategy game and that call was by Roger Penske.
I think that's kind of funny that Sasha's definition of a reliable driver is, he can reliably crash every time. It just took him longer, that's all.
Yeah. All right, well, things are starting to sort just a little bit. There is Romain Dumas, who now is opening it up over Lucas Luhr. And Dumas is one of the most aggressive and decisive drivers in traffic. And on this type of a track, that is the kind of pilot you want behind the wheel of your machine. And well, I'll tell you what, Roger Penske has a great core of drivers here. And there is Dumas, opening it up and heading away, working traffic to absolute perfection. Leading overall, leading in the P2 category. But let's take a look at the leaderboard in the P1 category. Lucas Luhr over teammate Manuel Pirro, and there is John Field. Very fast, but eventually getting into the tire barriers and putting his day at end. But it was spectacular while it lasted, as John always is. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The Acura Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by XM Radio, brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and Hankook Tires. Tame the road.
Welcome back to a beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. Possible weather not appearing, just sunny blue skies and great racing. Let's take a look at our Yokohama mid-race recap and take a look at what's unfolded. First thing to talk about, Audi versus Porsche. Audi early, it's changed.
Yeah, it really did. Marco Werner, again, to restate his qualifying performance yesterday, simply one of those brilliant efforts that you see once in a lifetime. It was incredible. As good a driver as Lucas Luhr is, their car is currently running in second, and right now is 9 seconds back. So they have to pray for a yellow flag coming back out of pace car to close back up. The problem, they still have to make another fuel stop. The Audi cannot finish the race on their fuel. I believe the yellow DHL Porsches can.
Oh, big hit. That is the number 11 primetime race group Dodge Viper, a huge wreck. And I believe that's the Bell Motorsports Aston Martin of Terry Borchelor, who had such a good run, sitting for a while second in GT1. And that's a big hit. 2 cars involved, debris everywhere. A caution is called, and absolutely immediately.
Well, by this pace car incident, they're going to get this cleaned up pretty quickly. You're going to see a mad dash into the pits by a lot of the teams. Number 1 being Audi. 46 minutes left in the race. If they do a splash of fuel, will they do a driver change? Will they take a chance on putting Marco Werner back in the car?
And funny, you should just mention Marco Werner. He just was applauding walking up behind the Audi pit, applauding, thinking, man, this is just what we needed. I had just checked with the team. They said they needed help. They could not make it to the end on fuel unless there was a caution. Exactly what they were hoping for.
Now let's see if we can take another look at what happened here. There's Feinberg on the right.
Well, first of all, contact with the Porsche, and then it hard into the wall. Now watch what's coming up. The Aston Martin has got to be coming up behind him. There he is. He doesn't know where to go to avoid, tries to go on the inside. No place to go. Oh, Terry, bad luck for Bell Motorsport.
Oh, that's exactly a duplicate of what Thomas Angus's crash in the Ferrari last year. Same spot.
Oh, man.
Wow. Watch it from onboard with Pat Long here.
Now, remember, he hits Pat right there. Well, unfortunately, this Viper has been involved in a number of incidents of contact throughout the weekend. Over the last 2 days, I've heard a few drivers complain about it. It's not good news.
Well, Bill, that car had problems earlier in the race with Chris Hall behind the wheel. He got a little loose, making a pass, and had contact with the wall, which actually destroyed the front suspension on the front right side. So they had that in the pits for quite a while, rebuilt that, and were ecstatic to get it back out there, only to have this happen.
Heartbreaking for the crew. You know, Chris, you and I talked about it, Greg. Chris Hall is just an immensely experienced driver. Very, very good. One of these people that, had he been given the right chances, he may really have become something. A young English driver, just a delightful guy to be around. I'm sorry he had a bad day.
All right, pits are open, so we'll keep an eye on that. One last thing about this program, Joel Feinberg and his Primetime Race Group, they have said he's raced some other stuff, and he said, we have absolutely become enamored with the American Le Mans Series. It is the best racing going. He said, we intend to be here a long time. They're looking at it, maybe in 09, for sure by 210, doing something in P2, not with a manufacturer necessarily, but maybe a Zytek, maybe an Epsilon Acuity. I mean, some of these other teams, that's where they want to be, and this is exploratory for them. So tough break right here, but I'll tell you what, part of the learning curve. And that one, you can't put that off. That was just a little bit of contact and off to the, that's enough. You get offline on a street course, those walls bite.
Yeah, and I hope that they put bigger mirrors on whatever car they go to, because he seems to have a little bit of a problem watching for traffic. We talked to this earlier. This is hugely difficult when you're involved in your own battles. You're trying to keep a car balanced on the edge of adhesion, and then you got to look in the mirror every once in a while. It is a challenge, and it does take time to perfect that skill. Now, we did just get a report. The number 2 car apparently has enough fuel to go to the end of the race. So this is a real surprise for that number 2 car with Emanuele Pirro behind the wheel.
That's it. Well, maybe it was this caution that put him in that window. And I was wondering, the number 1, Pirro is coming in. So they are going to...
it's going to be 2 seconds of fuel. It's going to be pretty quick.
Okay, there we go. 2 seconds. Now, these are high-pressure fuel nozzles. Watch this. It's on. It's off. That fast they're done. They're giving them new rubber.
But you can see how important, as long as you're going to lose the track position, you might as well, under caution, put on new rubber. Behind, at the same time, we're going to keep an eye on the number 6 Penske Porsche, which we saw was involved in that contact that brought out the yellow. They are doing the exact same thing. So they're going to take some tires as well. Again, if you've lost track position, go ahead and get some new skins, get some new Michelins, because as we get down to the closing moments of this race, you want the freshest tires you can get.
And remember, at this race, Michelin for the prototypes has come out with a super soft street tire. And there you go. That's going to be very interesting indeed. Now, the new video homepage of AmericanLeMans.com features content for the fans and from the fans. That's right. We want to hear from you. Log on today at AmericanLeMans.com to submit your video content. And we're going to step away for just a minute. We will be back to St. Petersburg. It's the most anticipated return of Sunday's biggest show. It's the television event everyone's been waiting for. Next Sunday at 9, 8 Central, Desperate Housewives returns with all new episodes. Leave it to the wives of Wisteria Lane to start up something really big. Oh, boy, I tell you, it doesn't get much more scenic than this, but there is a war going on down in the streets, and it involves tires. Let's check in with Jan Bigas with our Michelin tire tip.
And it does, Greg. Moments ago, we saw one of these Michelins come off of Patrick Long's car, and you can see the contact that happened there with that Viper rub the Michelin off here. It does not appear to have damaged the wheel. But the story this weekend with the Michelins is that the prototypes have brought a softer than soft tire, Greg, you mentioned a moment ago. And the question was, could it last the race? The answer is it appears as though it could last the entire endurance of the race, but almost every team up and down pit road has decided, since all these pit stops have done under caution, go ahead and put a new set on so you're racing to the end.
So they'd last, but they give up maybe a little stick.
Well,
what they're saying.
Actually, I think Michelins have been nothing short of remarkable in their past few years in their ability to stay at a very consistent, fast pace, lap after lap, and sometimes double or triple stint. But if you have the luxury of changing, you change it to make sure you didn't pick up a puncture running over a piece of this Viper, maybe a piece of fiberglass carbon fiber. Change it just for safety.
Just a smart move. By the way, you know, Scott Sharp is one of the new drivers to the American Le Mans Series, and we've seen him out there in that beautiful Petron Acura, but he is immensely experienced, a former Trans Am champ, an IndyCar champ, and this weekend he decided to branch out into broadcasting.
Hello, everybody. I'm Scott Sharp, and this is my first time being the Cub reporter for the weekend. Does it get any better than this? We're in sensational St. Petersburg, Florida, 85-degree weather, not a cloud in the sky, on the water. It's gorgeous. Our mission, first off, I got wheels. I got some great Patron golf cart wheels. They're going to get us around. We're going to get to more drivers. We're going to get some more recommendations. Our goal is we're going to sneak ourselves onto the biggest yacht possible, and we need these guys to give us some tips of how we're going to talk our way on there. Which I say?
I'm important. Let me on the boat.
You're going to probably have to explain a little more than that.
I don't think so. I think when they one look at you, they won't look how sharp you look, Sharpie. I mean, they'll just let you on anyway, mate.
I'm Cub reporter. First time out.
Really?
Yeah,
This is
okay.
your initial deal?
And you know, if anybody that we're going to interview probably would know the answer. Here's the scoop. We're going to sneak our way onto a 150, 160 foot, biggest one we can find, yacht. And we need some really good one-liners to smooth our way in. So what would you recommend?
Well, first off, if you run about 600 meters over here behind us,
yes,
there's a 340-foot yacht.
See, he always knows.
Owned by a Russian oil magnate, one of 5, although it's his smallest one.
Okay, so we got the problem solved. It's a 340-footer. How are we going to get on this thing?
Let me tell you what, you know me, I can get you on. Anybody else you know I can get on. And any of the viewers out there in ABC land want to come on down, give me a call. You're on board. Party tonight, 7:30.
We're on a mission. We're going to sneak onto the biggest yacht possible. But we need a good couple one-liners to wax our way in there. What would the people from the north have to say?
How's it going, eh?
Can we get on?
I will just try to sneak from the back. I will not tell them anything.
Climb up.
Don't wait, get it cheap. Yes. Don't tell them anything. And if you get through the back, don't tell them you know me.
Okay. We made it. We're on board. It's a bit evident my fellow drivers are not much into boating or yachting. And here we are. Now, you can relax and enjoy the big race. Your Cub reporter, Scott Sharp.
Man knows how to have fun, and these guys know how to go quick. Currently 3rd in class, 4th overall. They are just trying to stay out of the heat here in St. Petersburg. And we're going to show you right now the class leaders in all 4 of the classes. Duma leading P2 as well as overall. And we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be back, of course, after this message and a word from our ABC stations. The new era of the IndyCar Series hits the streets of St. Pete. Helio Castroneves goes for a sweet repeat, looking to dance his way to his 3rd win in a row on this picturesque street course. But can road racing specialist Scott Dixon steal the thunder in his quest to start the season 2 for 2? The IndyCar Series Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ESPN Sunday at 2:30 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And the lights are out in the pace car. The field is coming up for a restart, and we are under 30 minutes to go. Everybody really has made their stops. They should have enough fuel. Some of the guys have new tires, fresh rubber. This is going to be like qualifying, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is. We will now have 28 minutes of qualifying laps. And watch down the outside. Look at the Audi. He has got to try and get by these cars as fast as possible. Get up on the tail of Romain Dumas. He has done that.
Well, nice job by Lucas Luhr. There's Dumas. Luhr right behind him in that silver Audi here as they come through this sequence of turns. There he is. And the 16 of Guy Smith, unbelievable. They were sitting third overall, second in class. Jan?
The right rear has gone down. It's lost pressure. What a tough break for Guy Smith. They're going to have to replace all 4. He won't obviously lose a lap. He now is hoping for another caution.
His restart was brilliant when he jumped right up into that overall battle. And then to have this happen, this team, just unbelievable.
Now, he won't lose a lap, too. He's going to make it out cleanly before the first car. Oh, boy.
Unbelievable.
Easy, fellas.
The LG Motorsports Corvette in the number 46 Flying Lizards Porsche. Boy, that car has had 2 tough starts to the season. The 46 Porsche at Sebring was punted early by one of the Audis and dropped well off Johannes van Overbeek.
And it looks like he can't engage reverse gear. This is a sequential gearbox in these cars, meaning it's like a motorcycle. Oh, look at this! Lucas Luhr taking the battle of the Penske Porsche. Spectacular move.
Tried the outside into 7, but that was a great move by Dumas. Protected the inside. Going to give him the outside because that's a tough
flag. Look at the flag on the left. This is where the wreck is. There's the Corvette. They have to get around him. Cleanly by.
All right, have gone through. That's the good news. I think that's Lou Gelati behind the wheel of the Corvette at this stage of the race. But meanwhile, Dumas finds himself. Oh, we've got traffic as well. That, I believe, is the Panos.
No, I think that's the Porsche directly ahead. That's
that's
the
right.
Flying Lizard Porsche. They're coming up to go by. Okay, now here, watch in the background. Let's see. Look at the Porsche going to try and sneak by at the same time. Not a prayer.
Never, yeah.
No.
Lou was never going to see him. He let that one car through, didn't he?
Porsche's fault all the way. He was not far enough alongside. Look at this. The Corvette's going to start turning in. There's the contact.
Yeah. Optimistic.
Yeah. I got some stocks to sell them, too.
All right.
Boy, turn around. There's no damage to the cars. That's the good news.
Oh, look at this.
Audi again.
Luhr trying the outside. Dumas protecting. This time Luhr is in front. He squeezes him. There's a touch. Wow. And he's through. Lucas Luhr. What a great move by Luhr.
Fantastic Lucas Luhr using the power of that big diesel down the straight. Just hauled it.
Very good, Lucas. Very good.
I agree. Very good, Lucas. That was well done. Now, earlier I spoke about that there's a number of different dials on the dashboard so they can affect the running of the engine. With this race only being 25 minutes left in it, Lucas will be given the luxury of turning that dial, give it maximum horsepower. They don't have to worry about mileage.
Look at this from the chopper.
Boy, you talk about speed. Look at that Audi. That is the Porsche aerial cam seeing something it didn't want to see. And you know what? Hats off to Romain Dumas, too, there. He kept that car tucked in very, very tight. Tried to avoid contact with the Audi. Class move by Romain.
Well, Dumas did everything he could in terms of defense and also, when it was inevitable, accepted it. That's something that you have to give kudos to. Now we'll see just what kind of pace Lucas can muster up here, and he is quickly opening it up. Every one of these straights he's going to draw away, and Dumas then has to just literally drive the wheels off that Porsche in the more serpentine sections to try and stay close, but Lucas is flying.
This is very impressive by Luhr. I talked to him in the pits earlier this weekend because for years he has been one of my, if not my most favorite driver in the American Le Mans Series. Just a delightful young man. Asked him, what was it like making the transition from the GT Porsches where he basically grew up, jumping into a Spider briefly, and now into this massive car? He said, very difficult.
All right. Back into the GT2 ranks, and we have a new leader, the 71, Dirk Mueller, in the Tafel Racing Bell Micro. That is a Ferrari, similar car to the Risi team's cars, but just a little bit different paint scheme than classic Tafel, and he got tagged by the number 3. Held on to it. Max just got into the back of him in the number 3 CompuWare Corvette, but a great save by Mueller, and Mags got out of it as quick as he could as well. And Mueller is a fine race driver. As a matter of fact, last year, that number 15 Lowe's Acura, Adrian Fernandez,
So he
running in 5th overall, 4th in class at the time.
Look at this trail of rubber leading right in. He has had his brakes locked as he has gone down the straight, and he's still got it running, thankfully. So if he can get out of there cleanly, this will not be a pace car.
That's down into turn 10, and it really snugs up on the exit.
Well, now, is this Pirro coming in the Audi?
I believe this is Pirro. So we get a report now. Contact. There it is. Pirro into the pits, and they already changed one back end on the car.
I don't think they're going to change this again.
Here's the onboard look, Bill.
Oh, no. Oh, gee, 2 distinct hits. You know what? I'm going to blame him for that, too. He should not have put his car there. The Acura had every right to turn into the corner at that point.
Oh, I think the Porsche may have just caught.
He did.
That's the damage on the left rear.
Over the wall at the nose. Let's get the nose over the wall.
Well, they're going to try and get that car fixed and get back out.
Jan?
They will. They have more body pieces. We already saw a change at the rear. Now they're lifting the nose up over the front of the wall. Obviously, this car designed to make quick changes of large components like the nose and the rear end, but obviously, we're under green, losing a tremendous amount of time.
And the question now...
The support's pretty wasted on this left side. The front looks good.
Now, what he's talking about, the support being wasted on the left side, at the back structure, there's a very critical piece on this car. It's a wing support. With the loading on these cars, there's a tremendous downforce. Should the support break, then it becomes an airplane.
Okay. Now let's go on board with Pat Long in the 6th. There was apparently contact. It looked like it. Watch it here.
Oh, and that's heavy, too.
So now, what is the situation with the right front of this car?
Man, oh man.
Multi-class street course sports car racing.
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, you got to love it.
15 just getting back out onto the course, and it's been a lot of frustrating times over here at Los Fernandez. Of course, at Sebring, they finished 2nd overall after a brilliant race. That was erased when they failed a post-race inspection. And when you look back at this race last year in 2007, Luis Diaz had the lead, was going for the win, but a penalty for unavoidable contact when he tried to get around lap traffic. Once again, that set him back. These guys feel like they're just due for their time to break through and get a win or a great podium finish. But again, problems here today, it may not happen.
Well, they were very fast at the end of Sebring, and what happened there was the airbox where the restrictors are cracked. That carbon fiber, Sebring pounded it so bad it cracked, and they plug the restrictors while the car is idling, and it has to stall and die, and it did not. So that's an automatic DQ, but very, very quick.
A car like this, the entire support on one side is missing, it's broken.
Boy, that sounds like
70% of the distance.
That sounds like it might be over now.
Yes, you have. I'll go and check, but yes, I'm certain you have.
Just listening in with you as well. That is what they have just told Emanuele Pirro. They have just put the rear deck on the car, and I assume that they will push it, therefore, behind the wall, because as you heard on the radio communication, some serious damage on this #1 Audi.
So the return to the American Le Mans Series for the rest of the season by Pirro and Bila, unfortunately off to a difficult start. That's an unfortunate problem for them. They're going behind the wall. Follow the American Le Mans Series and its 10th anniversary season on XM Radio, channel 144, throughout the year. And Duma back in front in P2. Luer, Gavin, and Mueller in the other 3 classes. We'll be back. Under 20 to go. Return to Augusta for the majesty, the splendor, and the tradition as ESPN celebrates one of the world's great events. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson lead the field as the game's best chase history in a quest for the elusive green jacket. Early round coverage of the Masters, Thursday and Friday, April 10th and 11th at 4 Eastern, live on ESPN. We are back, and it is a great race unfolding, and it leads us into our Progressive Direct storylines, because that top one we're seeing play out once again. The number 7 Porsche back into the lead, but it had been Audi early, then Porsche, then Audi was back. It's been fascinating.
It's an amazing battle right now. You can see the yellow car right there. That is our leader. That's the DHL Penske Porsche. Romain Dumas, Lucas Luhr right behind him. They're following a car through the S's here. That'll allow Lucas to close up. Look at this. He's really closing now. Up alongside. He passed. No, Dumas, the lighter Porsche. It's a much better car under braking. The Audi has an advantage off the corners with the torque, with the acceleration. The Porsche weighs 120 kilos less, so it's much, much better under braking.
So basically, out of the turn, it's Audi. In and through it, it's the Porsche.
16 laps to the end of the race.
And there's the estimate, 16 laps to the end of the race. We're at 16 minutes and 15 seconds right now. So this battle is totally on right now. And Dumas chased by Luhr.
Boy.
And let's go back and show you folks how Dumas was able to get the lead from Luhr. Right here, watch it. Yep, got blocked by the 28, and around the outside went Dumas, and that was it for Luhr.
Boy, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield, and he just chose the wrong side that time. You know, one of the difficulties trying to drive this Audi at really high speed, and Lucas said this when I was talking to him, is that because it's a diesel, it virtually has no noise.
Yeah.
Well, in a normal gas engine, you can hear when you start to get wheel spin, the revs will start to skyrocket. There is virtually nothing with the Audi diesel, and it has taken Lucas a long time to try and acquire that ability of feeling. Oh, man, there's a hard hit.
Number 20, that's Butch Leitzinger in the Dyson, the other Dyson car. They had the problem with the pit stop and the puncture. For the team car, that is another solid hit.
And the pace car will definitely be coming out again, no question. So let's see if Lucas can get by before it flies out.
Well, the caution was just called, so all the corners will be yellow. And so Lucas not able to get it done. But obviously on a restart, that car, as we've seen, could be very effective. But boy, Butch Leitzinger, what a tough weekend for the Dyson team.
We have 14 minutes left in the race.
Absolutely took the entire left rear corner off that machine.
Ah, Butch.
Here is a look at Butch Leitzinger. Truly one of the great drivers America has produced.
Hey, I'm okay. Sorry, guys. Guys did a good job.
Let's take a look at it, Bill.
Well, there's contact with the Porsche, and I think that's going to start. Yep. See, a counter rotation. He made contact now.
But no contact there.
Oh, gee. A car going by. Just enough to clip that wheel and break it cleanly off. That was at the end of the front straight where you've got heavy braking. You're going through that fairly medium speed right-hand turn. And that's where Butch got together with the Porsche, made him pivot around. Following car obviously was more concerned about the corner and probably blocked by the wall. His view would have been blocked.
Yeah, it's a quick change in direction, and you're unsighted there, and Butch saying, I'm okay. Let's get down to Jan.
Boy, in these final few minutes, there's been a lot of things busting out on the racetrack. Unfortunately, a tough day for Emmanuel Pirro. We saw it on board. Talk us through what happened to you.
I think it was Fernandez in front. We were already one lap behind, and but the car was going very well. I was on new tires, and I had to try to overtake him. I caught up really, really quickly, and I thought he wouldn't give me a hard time because I'm sure he was with a lot of pickup on the tires. So I outbraked him, but he also tried to brake late, and we counted. It's very sad because we both had an accident, and this is really not nice. It's not nice to see an Audi retiring. There's little damage in the suspension, very small, but still good enough to let us stop. it's really sad. It's sad for me, it's sad for Fernandez. The positive thing is that we have the speed to win races this year. The other car is up fighting for the lead. We had very unfortunate qualifying, but during the race the car was very, very fast. So we bring the positive things home. We try to forget and to learn from the negatives, and looking forward to Long Beach.
All right, sorry, you're out. Thank you.
What a joy to have Emanuele Pirro and his partner Frank Biela back in the championship. There is the car on the 45 of Bergmeister is the one who got in. So this GT2 championship chase is standing on its head with problems for the 62 car with that air conditioning and issues dropping out of the order. And now Bergmeister in second place, but now damaged after winning at Sebring. Boy, this is curiouser and curiouser.
And it is critical for him to keep going because he's currently being shown second place in the GT2 classification. So for year-end championship thoughts, you've got to pick up those points. That is really, really important. Porsches historically have always been very, very strong race cars. And you can see that even though it took a very stout hit, it apparently looks okay. My big concern, there are water and oil radiators up in that area, and I hope there's nothing leaking.
The suspension seems to, nothing looks too deranged. And here is our leader in GT2 and was there already. It wasn't a result of that contact. Dirk Mueller, just an amazing story, been around for a long time, ran as a Ferrari factory driver, was running in the FIA GT Championship. When Thomas Anga had his crash, they brought him in, and he was right on the pace. And so he's been brought in here for the full season, and what a great story that is. By the way, you need racing news and information? Well, log on to roadandtrack.com for the latest news on cars and stars of the American Le Mans Series. Check it out today, roadandtrack.com. And we're going to step away. This will be our last break. We will take you all the way to the finish when we come back and beyond. So make sure you come back to St. Pete. Tonight is the start of Harry Potter month on the ABC Saturday Movie of the Week. A great Harry Potter movie every Saturday night in April, starting with the one that started it all, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Tonight at 8, 7 Central on ABC. We have a great story about to unfold here because on the restart, and the lights are out, and we are coming up. We are under 8 minutes to go. Lights are out. You've got the torque of the Audi. You know Lucas is going to be all over Dumas coming out of that last turn. But David Brabham in that patrol. Oh, we're getting a report the lights are not out. I guess it was the glints on the bar there. Nope, we still have the safety car. So at any rate, if there's contact up front, that car might sneak through yet.
It's a very realistic possibility.
All right, well, let's take a look now at the Acura move of the race. And there have been some good ones, but that battle up front has been absolutely spectacular right here.
Lucas just chose the wrong side. Dumas happened to go down the outside of Luke Gelati's Corvette. Lucas still being blocked and finally gets going, but it is way too late. The Porsche is gone.
Well, in multi-class sports car racing, sometimes you use traffic as a pick, and that worked absolutely perfect. Let's see what's going on down in pit lane. Jan Bikas.
We're just talking about Romain Dumas, and of course was the best move. Was voted as the best move of the race to take the lead, but Timo Bernard, you got them in that position. Now you have a restart. You have that powerful diesel Audi behind you. What is your teammate going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the last yellow is not very good for us, I have to admit, but the only thing Romain can do, accelerate as early as possible, try to get a nice exit out of the last corner, because I think there we are a little bit quicker in that last corner, but then there's a long straight ahead of him. And I don't know how it will end, but at the moment it's not looking so good for us, but maybe they will take a little bit longer for the yellow.
What about the rules? How early can he get on that power?
I normally they drop the green flag quite early after he entered the start-finish straight, so that should be okay. But every momentum he can carry after the corner will be important, and I'm sure he will do that.
Well, they're looking for momentum. We'll check in with GT2 and Kelly.
Well, as we saw before break, it's the 71 from Taffel Racing with Dirk Mueller behind the wheel. I've got the team owner and driver, Jim Taffel, with me. This is Dirk's first race out on the track, new car out here. You've got to be pretty pleased with how your two young guns have performed.
I'm so pleased with these guys. They've done a fantastic job. My team, my sponsor, Bell Micro, East Coast Jewelry, absolutely fabulous. We just had to be absolutely as flawless as possible this week in order to get this result. And I've got 7 more minutes to get our first win in American Le Mans. It'll be the most exciting thing in my life in the racing career.
And certainly no one wishes bad things on their opponents. But of course, after the problems you experienced in Sebring, to see some of the other kind of top dogs in the G2 category experience problems here too, that's got to feel like you're getting in a good position.
Yeah, I mean, this is really survival of the fittest. I mean, how hard we worked last year to learn the track data, to learn the team, put it together, and really come out here and do one thing, and that's to get a result.
All right, if we get this win, how does it compare to the Kentucky Derby?
Actually, I'll let you know soon. If you come back in about 6 minutes now, I will let you know how it compares to the Kentucky Derby.
All right, good luck.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, running Porsches last year, they had 4 thirds and 2 seconds to finish the season. But if they pull this off, I think it's remarkable that in the second race of the season with a brand new manufacturer, in the number 45, York Bergmeister crawls out, and look at the smoke. You've got to think damage to that front end. Radiators, this is the team that won at Sebring, leads in the points. Crushing blow.
Heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. One of those oil radiators up hidden behind the front bumper had a line probably cut in the impact, and that's it.
All right, and also we want to check in with the goings-on in the GT1 category, where for a while there we had Terry Borchler right in the mix, and has back split the 2 Corvettes for a little bit, but it is the number 4 now in the hands of Oliver Gavin in the CompuWare Corvette, leading the team car, the number 3 of Jan Magnussen. And that has been it. Now that 3 car a few times has dropped back a little bit, and then the yellows have brought it right back into the fray. And these guys, the 2 of the best teams within this same team in the entire business of sports car racing, and they race each other hard.
They certainly do. There's, when they get out there on the track, they're teammates, but only to a point. But, this really could have turned into a story, because with the Corvettes running on that cellulosic E85, they've got a lot less mileage than they had running the E10. So they were concerned at the start, depending on how many cautions they had, that they might have to make 2 pit stops compared to the Aston Martin, which would expect to only have 1 fuel stop. Of course, as it came out, they were just okay. They had 1 fuel stop, and now we've seen it play out.
Well, and that may have explained why the number 3 car kept dropping back. They may have actually been opting for a different strategy to conserve. Meanwhile, strategy out the window. 3 minutes to go. Right now, green flag coming out. Lucas Luhr
watch the Audi.
Tucked in behind. There goes Dumas to defend. Luhr pops to the outside. He knows he can do it because he's done it before. He is already by and then protects beautifully to the inside.
Unbelievable power shown by that big V12 diesel. Just amazing. Lucas timed it perfectly. Romain Dumas did everything he could to try and get on the throttle very, very early. Luhr continues to impress me. He's not that familiar with these cars, and he's driving them almost like Marco Werner. He's looking the same quality of speed that he is showing right now.
Spectacular. And it's not often when you're leading overall and you interview the teammate in the pits and he says on the restart here, it's not looking good.
That's right.
That gives you an idea of just how cut and thrust this is. Strengths different in different spots of the track, and on this one where it is huge out of that tight final turn on the front straight, boy, it played beautifully into the Audi.
Well, and even the Audi team themselves were really just almost in a state of disbelief yesterday when Marco put the car on the pole. They did not expect to have that good a race here, because this is more of a Porsche circuit, being tighter and only this front straight where you can really use that Audi power.
And that is a great battle here as we hop on along with Pat Lawler. Remember, they had problems. We're down a lap. Penske pulled that strategy call to keep them out, do a change, get the lap back, then do the driver change, and he is now going for, he is sitting third in class, going for second, third overall, trying to get around David Brabham in the Patron Acura.
Yeah, look at the time that's shown right above Brabham's Acura. They're 1 minute, 23 seconds left in this event. So they could be down to the last 2 laps of the race, maybe even the 1 lap.
Another remarkable strategic comeback story for Roger Penske
just
in
brilliant.
this team. And right now, it's up the log. And remember, they've got damage. The right front of that car has some damage when it clipped the Audi. So right now, Patrick, I think, doing an incredible piece of driving. America's only factory works Porsche driver.
Talking to him yesterday in the pits, Patrick said he loves pressure. That's where he performs best. He said, I like to be forced into situations. How much pressure is he under right here? Same thing to Lucas Luhr. Just think of the pressure he's under. His teammate sets the pole, brand new track record, and Lucas will only have 1 lap left.
This should be it. On the clock, 35 seconds.
Final lap.
So this is the last lap. There's the crew exhorting him on. Meanwhile, Long, here he goes, looks to the inside.
No, can't do that.
Brabham's covered, one move.
Classy driving by both these fellows. David Brabham, enormously experienced in this kind of car. Back in the original days of the ALMS series when he was driving their front-engine Panos Roadster.
Well, and Brabham's he ran a little wide there. He's feeling the heat. At Houston last year, he put this car on the overall pole in the older chassis. And right now, look at Long, inside, out, looking for any possible way by. And here we go, down the long blast, down the back straight, along the bay. This is Bayfront Drive.
Well, these cars beautifully matched. You see there is give or take either under acceleration or braking. They're both the same weight, both similar horsepower.
That's a debris flag, not a yellow, so they can pass. Meanwhile, last turn, Luhr comes out. You can see how close Dumas is, but now the torque and horsepower of that Audi. Luhr drives to the wall. He has done it. Audi wins overall at St. Pete for the 2nd straight year. Penske Porsche wins P2. David Brabham ends up 2nd in class, 3rd overall. A great drive by them as well. And we will come back and sort things out. But what a lap. Lucas and the team are going to enjoy this one.
The Acura Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by XM Radio, brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. And Yokohama Tires, uncompromising performance.
Welcome back to the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Petersburg, and challenge is a most appropriate term. It was that. Here are the class winners. Overall in P1, it is Lucas Luhr and Marco Werner, and let's get down to Jan.
Well, Lucas Luhr still has the helmet on, getting the congratulations of the crew. But Marco, what a fantastic day. You needed help with cautions. They came at the perfect time.
Yeah, for sure. A great day for Audi. Thank you very much. Lucas did a very good job. But let me just say, that's why we drive TDI.
And you did a great lap in qualifying. The two of you, what a great team. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to the team, to everybody, Audi, team champion, Michelin. That was everything perfect this weekend. Thank you very much.
Kelly?
Gavin with teammate Olivier Beretta taking it in the GT1 category. But for a while there, Aston Martin right in the thick of things. Were you surprised at all?
Yeah, we were. It was. We thought it was going to be really close. But this has been a crazy race, but this Corvette C6R has performed fantastically with its new cellulosic E85. I mean, it's been brilliant. We've had great power all day, great fuel efficiency, and it's been fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what a remarkable story, and his teammate Olivier Gavin has continued to set some records. Let's get right back down to Jan.
And Romain Dumas just getting the congratulations of Roger Penske. It was a great strategy day for Penske, but boy, you had the lead, but you knew you had that diesel power behind you. Nothing you could do?
Well, I mean, no, it was a nice fight. I mean, we produced a great show again. And I made a good move, I think, by outside. Overtook the Audi on the last corner, and I think the race was... I take a small gap, and I was thinking, okay, the race now is finished for us, and we are leading. Unfortunately, the safety car, and only for 2 laps. I mean, he killed our race for sure, but it's like that. I mean, it's a great victory for Audi. We won the class again. It's against the target, you know, but when you pass one car by outside like this, you expect to win overall. So anyway, I'm a little bit disappointed for the overall, but we won the class. We take good point. I think we made a good show again.
Certainly a great street fight here in St. Petersburg.
Well, Dominique Farnberger looking great out there in the Tafel Ferrari. Tell me about it. Your teammate bringing it home for you, but how exciting is it to get this first win for Tafel?
I mean, it's absolutely incredible, and I feel very honest for the team. They did an awesome job the whole weekend, and now Dirk drove it home, and we're so happy right now. I can't even explain it.
Well, a lot of celebrating going on down there, and now Jim Daffel gets to add a GT2 American Le Mans win to a Kentucky Derby win. Just a great job. Coming up next on ABC or ESPN on an ABC, April 20th, we are going to be back on a street course and one of the great ones, the legendary Long Beach, the Tequila Patron American Le Mans Series at Long Beach, Sunday, April 20th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. And just an incredible race. There's no question about it, Bill Adam, and we can expect, I think, the same when we get into California.
I think we'll get exactly the same. It is going to be close competition once again in every class, and Porsche are going to be looking to upset the Audis there.
So make sure and join us once again here. Congratulations to the folks at Audi. Coming up next at 5 Eastern Time, except the West Coast, Dick Vitale's All-American Special. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.